Good morning, John Yueh.
Good morning.
Caught you mid-sip.
Yeah, taste of Fiji
That's right.
on a late autumn day.
Is Fiji in your country?
In my country, I've been to Fiji.
Have you?
Yeah.
No way. Really?
Well,
Seriously?
it's only a 2-hour flight from Auckland.
Fiji. That's where Tony Robbins lives, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to ask my cousin. He works for him now.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
I used to date a girl a long time ago. I got a chance to meet Tony, and she used to travel around the country, and she would pitch businesses and sell them tickets to go see Robbins events. So I went to a couple. I've done the firewalk, the whole shooting match. And so my former business partner, we went to where were we? Atlanta? No. Well, I saw him in Atlanta. It was at the Meadowlands in North Jersey, where the Giants and the Jets used to play or whatever. And he was there, and my business partner at the time, unbeknownst to me, goes in and buys $20,000 worth of Tony Robbins, which would have consisted of a trip to Fiji with all these big shots, of which he thought we were. I said, dude, probably would have been a good idea to check with me before you spent $20,000 of our money on a trip to Fiji. So he's, oh, yeah. So what we did was, oh, no, that's right. We bought that in Atlanta. And then I told him how foolish that was. And maybe it wouldn't have been. Maybe it would have been pretty cool to go to Fiji and see Tony Robbins and spend time with him. But however, we turned it into a bunch of tickets in the mosh pit for the Meadowlands and took some of the trainers with us. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure he's got a home on the island there, so which is pretty freaking awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, hey, thanks for joining us on the Recruiter Podcast. You people are awesome, and we love you so much. And people are already jumping on, which is really cool, and we appreciate you. If you would, share this out, which I'm doing right now. This is dead air this isn't really the radio business. The Recruiter Podcast. There we go. Now we're shared. Okay, so just a few things. John, first of all, thanks for flying in from Colorado.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're back to Colorado again. How many
Yes.
times? You get a 5-year anniversary coming up here with AutoMax pretty soon.
February.
Yeah, that's crazy. It really is crazy.
Where'd the time go? I
Right?
have no clue.
It's weird, man. And how many times have you moved in 5 years?
Oh, geez.
What is it, 5 times?
Yeah, I've probably had 5 addresses,
Right?
maybe 6. I mean, technically, I didn't actually move this year, but also didn't not move. I lived in California for 10 months. So,
A little closer. Keep it a fist away. I mean, we've already had this discussion, John. I don't know why you can't get this.
it's the fist concept.
Yeah. The fist concept. All right. So John flew in from Colorado. Really appreciate you being here, dude.
Thanks for having me.
It's awesome. Get a lot of people watching this goofy podcast here. So what I've started this podcast off many times, depending who the guest is, obviously, because we've had some actual owners of car dealerships on the show. So I wouldn't ask them this question. We've had stand-up comics. We've had we had a director of animal rescue who's a friend of mine, and we had Keith Fenimore and his mother who run a nonprofit called Pine to Pink for breast cancer awareness. So I wouldn't ask them this question, but I'm going to ask it of you. If you owned your own car dealership, what would it look like? So that's something I'd like you to think about, and I'm going to cover some business here. What kind of dealership would that be? Lamborghini? What would you own?
I do like Volkswagens, but
Wouldn't
you
be
know,
Volkswagen.
well, who owns Lamborghini?
Ah,
And I only, make that reference because I'm a Ferrari guy.
it is Ferrari? I was thinking on the way in, it's like, what is his favorite car? Turn that down a little bit, will you? But, where's that me? That's me. All right, Craig. It's a professional podcast, dude. Step up.
Yeah, and we comprise 25% of the watching.
Right. Yeah, that thing picks up. Most people are still asleep. So, yeah. So what? Ferrari?
Well,
If money was no object, what car? What would you and your wife drive? No, what would you drive?
I would have a Ferrari.
You would have a Ferrari. What kind?
That's a tough call. There's so many. I've always been a huge fan of the Testarossa.
Yeah.
That's just the original, poster on the wall type of thing.
Yeah.
250 GTO, it's up there.
Yeah.
250 Testarossa
Yeah.
with the separated, the pontoon fenders.
Yeah.
Gorgeous car.
Is that what is that?
That wouldn't be a car, though.
600 horsepower car?
The 250 Testarossa?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was probably only 350.
Oh, is that right?
300-ish.
Oh.
I
What's
should
that
know
car
that.
weigh? That car's light then.
Well, that's from the 50s.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But yes, they were very light.
Yeah. That'd be dangerous to drive.
Yeah, it's not really a car. So,
Yeah. How about an electric car? Are you into Tesla?
no,
No.
I respect what Elon's doing. I think it's a gorgeous car. I like the sounds. I like the combustion engine. That's just what does it for me at some point if I need an appliance.
Yeah.
I do an electric car. I think
Yeah.
the Taycan is pretty cool.
Yeah. They're so fast, supposedly.
Right.
It's just like bang.
Right.
And you're 100 miles an hour, like bang. Now.
Silently. Yeah.
Right. Silently.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I also, every vehicle we own has 3 pedals. Everything's a manual transmission. I'm not ready to give up the clutch yet.
Oh.
So, yeah, automatic.
There is something to be said about that. The
Right.
mechanical aspect of an automobile.
It's that cathartic reward you get from, a mastered, 3-2 downshift.
Right.
That's just
Right. The sound.
That's the engaging. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The mechanics of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So another reason I like the Ferraris, the gated shifter, when you do a 3-2 downshift, it just
Yeah.
makes this little clink, clink, and then you
Yeah.
get the sound of a V12 or a V8, and it's
Right.
just,
Right. And the RPM switch
Right.
and
the eargasm.
yeah. Eargasm. Write that down, folks. Eargasm. It's the word for today on the Recruiter podcast. So yeah, so we're going to so I wanted you to give that some thought, and let's get into that. And I think it's interesting when guests come on here and we ask that. There's a lot of different answers to that, but and I'm not trying to. No, I probably am trying to lead you. I mean, obviously the Recruiter podcast, what we do for a living, it's all about people, and people obviously make up. I mean, without them, we're screwed in the car business. I think still, regardless of what others might say, than the direction it's supposedly going, which I don't completely buy into. But however, so we'll catch that on the other side of this thing. But I wanted to start with a few favors that I'd like to ask the audience. First of all, as you may or may not know, the Recruiter podcast can be listened to on all your favorite audio platforms: iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify. So whichever one of those platforms you listen to your podcasts on, you can listen to the Recruiter podcast there. Now, this show will not be uploaded to those audio platforms for about 2.5 weeks. We have done, 150 hours of these podcasts, and because of the long form format, we put them up about every 10 days. So we're about 2 weeks behind. So John, this podcast will be up live on those platforms within a couple weeks. But you can watch us obviously live now, whether you be on our YouTube channel, AutoMax Recruiting on YouTube, or our Facebook page, business page, AutoMax Recruiting. You can see us there. I would also like to start this thing ain't free, so we have some friends of the program that I'd like to thank right now and talk about a little bit, one of which you're very familiar with, and that would be Tecobi, TECOBI.com, Tecobi.com, with our wonderful friends, Mr. Gerdner and Scarlett Mick and Dan Webb and all the fine people from Tecobi, who you're very familiar with. You haven't been out there in a while. When were you last out there?
Beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I think it was February, March.
Yeah.
I have to look.
And we got
No
a
concept of time.
boatload of ninjas.
Yes,
They call them
have
ninjas.
they really do have a ton of ninjas. The whole operation is just it's so exciting to see, just because of the corporate culture. Such a positive environment. Some BDCs you go into and it's like a tomb. Like I don't want to use the word sweatshop, but lack of a better term.
That's about right.
And you could cut the tension with.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, Tecobi, you can tell the way that the corporate culture is because people are actually happy to be there.
Right.
And that translates into someone positive talking to dealership clients, potential clients. And if that person's in a good mood, positivity can be very refreshing when you're buying a car.
Yeah. Right. Well, Jason's background is so long and strong in telemarketing, for lack of a better term. I mean, the guy made a fortune as a telemarketer before Tecobi. It's the old story of, came from quote unquote nothing, made a boatload of dough, lost it all, comes back with Tecobi, making a boatload of money, helping dealers all over the country. And his concept, man, I tell you, it just flat out works. I talked about it on last week's show. Jason had put up, Jason or Scarlett, I think Jason put up a chart, I don't know, of one of their dealer clients. This has been a couple of weeks ago now or so. And the amount of leads that they get for dealers and leads that close are just, I mean, it borderline's hard to believe what they do.
Yes.
How they, the code that he's written and because he is a coder, it just flat out works, man. It just flat out gets buyers in your dealership. Really well if you're on your game inside the store. And I think that's the main reason, that's the main reason he hired all those people. I mean, do you have any idea how many people he's got there now? It's got to be 30 or?
Yeah, he's at, I think the entire company just broke 70.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, Evan and Colby, they're managing the whole thing, and it's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
But people are still having a good time and all that because it's
Yeah.
Some people are on the phones, but with a text-based thing, you can
Right.
socialize with some of your associates, and that's what creates your corporate culture.
Right. Well, that's one of their. I mean, there's a lot of key ingredients to their success, but texting obviously is one of them. They've really taken that to a whole nother level because I mean that's the way people want to communicate. Hell, I'm 68 years old and I'd rather text.
Right.
Not rather. I mean, it's either pick up the phone or, emails, like, for me, not where it's at, but, texting. I don't like to have long conversations on the phone, so texting works for me. But Tecobi the results are just impossible to argue. They're just like you said, their culture, what they've created out there internally, and whatever that culture is, no matter what the business, the more positive, the more developed, the more professional. For that team member, that employee to come to work every day and do what they need to do to be successful, earn money for their family, and so on and so forth, the better that environment is, it just absolutely transfers over to their end user, the dealership's client. And I think that's one of the big parts of their success. They just get it done. So we recommend Tecobi highly. John has spent time there recruiting and initially training those ninjas for Tecobi, and we're big supporters and big fans of what they do. So go to Tecobi.com. You want to sell more cars, make more money? That would be a good thing to do. Thank you for everybody that's joining right now. If you would, share this stuff out. Let more and more people see it. Let's have your friends take a look at today's program and listen. That would be awesome. So again, hit the share button. Watch us on YouTube. Watch us on Facebook and all the audio platforms here in a couple weeks. This show and all the previous shows. Please, hey, leave a review too. We'd really appreciate that. That'd be awesome if you would review the podcast. If it sucks and you hate it, give us constructive criticism on how to improve it. If you like it, that'd be nice too, because I'm getting tired of people telling me how I suck sometimes. So it'd be nice if you do that as well. So Emma Johnson, hi Emma, how are you doing today? Jason Gerdner's on.
Ears must have been burning.
Yeah, hey Jason. And gosh, I shouldn't start saying hello to everybody because then I got to say hello to everybody. Your buddy Israel's on. Hey, Israel.
Yeah, all the way from Oxnard or wherever he is today.
All right, so dude, all the stars have aligned. You've become a car dealer. Where would you want it? Would you want it in Denver? How close are you to Denver now?
Well, I'm about halfway between Denver and Boulder.
Oh, that's
Actually
right.
On the Boulder side.
That's right.
You know,
You want a store out there or somewhere else?
yeah, I mean, Colorado's great. It's home. You know, I've lived so many places. California was pretty nice this year.
Yeah.
I'll admit.
Yeah.
Love
Did you get caught in any of the fires or no?
We were about an hour and a half from some of the fires and outages and all that. And, you know, California's not represented well in the media because living there is just spectacular. You know, people say, oh, but it's so expensive. And, you know, nice things typically are. So, but yeah, happy to be back in Colorado, of course. But California was kind of a big deal. Plus, we gained a new client this year out in California, and that kept me busy most of the year. So I actually
Westbrook?
traveled
Are
less.
you speaking of Mike Westbrook?
Yes,
Yeah.
Price Sims.
Yeah.
The
Mike's
Price Sims guy.
awesome. Mike has been such a supporter of AutoMax over the years. He's an awesome person.
He's just an incredible human being.
He is.
And the Price Sims organization definitely reflects that type of person.
Yep.
So it makes me very proud to contribute to their organization. So yeah, and he came from Penske.
That's right.
Very, very impressive organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, they understand the importance of human capital. You know, it still blows my mind. You know, we've been doing this 22 plus years now, and it's always, it's a trite thing to say that it's all about people, but it really is. But there's still businesses that don't truly get or understand how important that human capital is. And the difference between good and great is typically how you recruit, onboard, develop, inspire your people. You can have the best processes, the best product, the best promotion, what have you. It's really going to come down to people in the end. It's just every time, no matter what you're doing. It's all about people. I watched a podcast yesterday, and they had just some random plumber on. It was a big podcast, and I don't know, they found this plumber on Craigslist, and it was a 2-hour podcast. And it was interesting from the fact that it was just like, it's a plumber, okay? And you think, okay, well, the guy's a plumber. These guys make as much money as some doctors, some lawyers, what have you, and about his business and how he relates to people. And the guy's a plumber. He's fixing toilets and dealing with turds all day. And it's like septic tanks and just nasty stuff. In all his training and everything, it just comes down to his people skills. And the reason he's successful is because of his people skills. And it's in the car business, sometimes I think we get, and I've been in it 48 years, coming up 48 years, and it's like, that's never changed. Everything's changed. The cars have changed. Pretty much everything that we did back in the day is today illegal, and back then it was strategy. but the fact that people in your organization can make it or break it is, God, man, it's so freaking important. So I'm kind of loading your lips here a little bit, but so
Well, it's an important topic.
Yeah. Yueh Motors, what's it going to
Right.
look like?
Well, I mentioned price sims earlier. There's one thing that they do that I think is different in the car business in terms of investing in their people. Candidates, any employee, high potential employees, people can opt in to a life coach. They have a life coach. They have procured a life coach for the dealer group.
Really?
Yes.
So a new hire.
Not necessarily a new hire.
Okay.
All managers are required to go through this program. Because we were talking about Tony Robbins earlier.
Right.
This is a different life coach. Mark Wright. I don't know if I should be saying that or not, but
It's too late.
right. But it's a strategy that I think dealerships can benefit from, especially dealers that have gotten a little bit bigger than a 2 or 3 roof organization.
Yeah.
Because what they want to establish is having people being the best version of them. We talk about emotional intelligence. We talk about investing in people, being the best version of you that you possibly could be. This dealer's actually doing that. And I don't know how many dealers there are in this country that are actually doing that. I hadn't heard of that before this year.
No, until you just said it, I wasn't aware that they did that. We should probably put that in our ads next time we do business with them. That's a pretty important point. So that dealer group makes a life coach available to
Just about anyone.
Excuse me.
And they're a medium-sized dealer group.
Right.
16 different brands over 9 rooftops.
Right.
And so trying to get you want a little bit of corporate in there because you do want the
Right.
individual dealers to stand out, which they certainly do because they're all ultra luxury. I mean, we're talking Bentley, Bugatti,
Right.
Aston Martin, McLaren. That's going to be a different level. But you can feel it when you just walk in the showroom. It's a real career. It doesn't matter if you're, and we've been saying this, you've been saying this for 22 years, but, it doesn't matter if you're a porter or lot tech, whatever, there is a room for advancement.
Yeah.
And that's what people are seeking.
Right.
And that's where the car business becomes a real career opportunity that a lot of people don't necessarily consider.
Right. Isn't that weird? It's still weird. It still blows my mind. And it goes from whether it be a salesperson or a tech. Right now, it's so important because there's such an epidemic in regard to a lack of technicians. And it is such a potentially amazing career for men and women to be an automotive technician, have the opportunity, because it's not a matter of getting greasy and dirty anymore, man. It's like these cars are high tech. I don't care what it is, what you're selling. It's a lot of analysis and technology involved. So you're not taking a big screwdriver and putting it up against your ear and putting it on the engine block to hear a ticking somewhere in the engine and trying to diagnose it that way. Everything's different now, and yet people still to this day, and I guess it's because of the perception of our industry, which is mostly the fault of guys like me. Being around so long, we kind of screwed things up for a while to this day. But it's unfortunate that people look at it like, well, crap, I can't do anything else. I guess I'll answer this ad. I could always sell cars for a while, or maybe I'll, I know how to change oil in a car. Maybe I'll give that a shot. And, man, these are really potentially powerful, life-changing careers that we have we're blessed to be able to put people in. It's still mind-blowing that it still has the connotation of being whatever it is, whatever stops people from, looking into opportunities to get in the automobile industry still is mind-blowing to me. I just don't get it. However, even with, and this is just, I don't mean this to be an AutoMax recruiting pitch, however, based on our experience, our technology, and everything we use, we are, even with this low, 3.5% unemployment, whatever the exact number is, we're still able to find just a ridiculous amount of quantity of quality candidates to come into the stores to interview for these opportunities. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, if I'm sitting there and I've got a college degree, can't find anything, I got to take a look at the automobile industry. I have to. It makes so much sense. Or not go to school. I mean, the number of people that are running up this obscene amount of college tuition debt and not finding anything in their field is just insanity. Whereas they can get in the car business, whether it be fixed operations, variable operations, no matter what it is, the opportunity to make a nice income, man, and have a great career is right there. I'd love to see more people take advantage of it. It's just ridiculous that they don't, I think. But okay, so enough of that. Yueh Motors. Let's open this place up. What are some of the first things you're going to look at? What are some of the things, the changes? How do you want that culture to be? How do you want to make sure that you feel good about the business that you're running in that community, wherever you pick, and to put your brand out there the best? What kind of people are you going to be focusing on? What kind of culture, if there's an order in which you're going to build this massive empire of Yueh Automotive, what's it gonna look like, John?
Well, I would certainly want to, empower the people. That sounded kind of weird. When I was hanging out with Mike Ditka a few years back,
Name dropper,
right? Someone asked him a question about success, and he said, hire the right people, but then the follow-up to that is let them do their job that you hired them for. That's the big step is getting the right people, and you don't necessarily know, establishing trust and all of that. It's important to get that done. But I think it's also extremely important to maintain that corporate culture by allowing people to be themselves. So there's something interesting that my wife's company does. She's an accountant. She's one of these high-powered accountants.
Right.
But something remarkable that her company does is very regular events where they improve. It's not necessarily just training, but there's networking. There's all of these things. In fact, she has one, I think, today. But it's so that, and their business model is very similar to ours. Their accountants, they go to clients, and she used to be a road warrior status where here's an assignment.
Yeah. Yeah, she was traveling a lot.
Well, we still are. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but any assignment could be 6 to 24 months. So it could be anywhere in the country, 6 to 24 months, and that's why we move so much. But they have regular gatherings so that people get to know other people in the company. Similar to us, all of our trainers, I rarely see any of the other trainers.
Right.
But, if you go to the same dealership, then your associates are actually not your associates.
Right.
So you never see the other trainers. So they have regular things like that. But there's another thing that they do just for networking. Like each individual has a networking allowance so that they are getting outside their shell, so that they're doing something else. There's
also networking allowance.
Right.
Huh.
You have that friend that's, thinking about getting in the car business. Okay, well, here's, $50 to take them out to dinner or something along those lines.
Well, that's interesting.
There's also allowances for vocational development. You want to learn a second language? Great. The company will pay for it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting as well.
Right. But it's constantly improving yourself.
Right.
And that's just the theme that society's going to. That's what, the emotional intelligence and all of that. As machines are taking over some of the grinding things that we have to do on a daily basis, you start focusing on other things like, awakenings, for lack of a better term.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. That's interesting you say that, because there's a lot of fear. I know robots scare the hell out of me. The potential of them, and I wish they'd just back that thing up just a little bit. Boston Dynamics or whoever it is in charge of most of that stuff, but let's dumb those things down a little bit. Let's just wait up on that a little bit. But like you said, they're going to do robots, and AI is going to take over a lot of task-oriented things. That's the way that's just a fact.
Right.
So instead of looking at that as a negative, what you're saying is your wife's company and something that'd be a great way to run a car dealership. Let's say that robots do take over certain tasks within the dealership, whether it be more involved in the CRM or follow-up or whatever. Then let's enrich and let's go further with developing our team members with other interests that make them a more interesting person, a more educated person, a more engaged person. Like you just said, with learning a second language, wouldn't that be interesting? We have a lot of dealers say, in this particular market, let's look for, it's bilingual people. And typically when they say bilingual, they mean Spanish, right? And with our Automotive HR platform, we can pump those ads out in 100 different languages, which is kind of cool, and they happen to be one of our sponsors that I'll get to later. But wouldn't it be interesting if you were just an old white guy like me, where all of a sudden I come up with have the opportunity to develop a second language that could open up an entire new market for me personally at the dealership? That's kind of interesting. It would be an interesting way to bonus people, kind of. That's an interesting incentive, because it's really an incentive, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's really what that is.
Yeah, the company benefits from it.
Right.
If you have like a salesperson that has like a bowling team or a soccer team or a softball or, something like that.
Right.
All of those teammates, they buy cars.
Right.
Why not sponsor drinks or a round of the golf or something along those lines, so that people are getting out and it's like,
right.
Oh, well, this particular dealership.
Right.
So how do you invest in your people?
Right. So we've got, and the numbers have always been, they're all over the place. And how much it cost in terms of marketing, digital advertising, traditional advertising, whatever, X amount of dollars to sell and deliver an automobile. In those figures, I don't know, $500, $600, whatever it is, $700, whatever it is. So to even just gain a customer, whether you sell him or her or not, you're looking at, I don't know, $100 a lead or $50, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So let's take some of that money. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing you say, or what's developing in my head, let's take some of that money, an enormous amount of money, regardless of the size of the dealership. Let's take some of that money and redirect it towards our team members to help enrich their life, which consequently will make their job more attractive to them. Consequently, the more attractive it is to them, then they pay that forward to your customer, their customer, and the customer gets taken care of better. Yes? Is that
yes.
Kind of, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, I know that's crazy. I've never thought of it that way. Let's redirect some of that money into what really matters. We expect salespeople to brand themselves via social media. Okay, well, what if somebody doesn't know how to brand themselves? What if that's a little outside, not their comfort zone, but their character, let's say? It's always, I'm kind of a maniac when someone joins AutoMax. It's like, you're going to be on social media, right? It's like, and I put out a few constant reminders from time to time. But so here, let's take Anthony as he's a perfect example, man. And This has been talked about a lot, but he was not on Facebook. what did he call it? Fake book.
Right.
And I'm training him at the same place you and Heather trained, and at CV Resort there. And oh no, I'm not on Facebook. Well, you're going to be. Oh no. I said, oh yeah. And so I won, and and he's become a I don't know, Facebook celebrity, I guess you could say. I mean, it's like hundreds of thousands of views over the last year and a half, 2 years, or whatever, however long it's been. He's been with us 2.5 years or whatever. But it's like, but that wasn't within his wheelhouse. He hated it. So, I encouraged him to get involved, and consequently, what that's happened, it's added to his. I mean, he gets deals, training campaigns from all over the place, strictly based on his social presence.
Right.
So if a dealership did that and threw some money at it, man, that could be a real game changer. Whether it be social, whether it be, the number one salesperson, Ali Rita, who just sold, I don't know, 1,500 whatever cars this past year or the year before last, to break the Joe Girard's, I don't know, 50-year record or whatever it was. And this guy, he doesn't do much social at all. His social is real social. It's going to, like you said, to different events and so forth, and actually pressing flesh and meeting people and engaging people in real IRL, in real life. Whereas you got a guy like Frank Cornetti, who's also a 100-month salesperson, does a lot more on social, but he's also involved in a big charity, I think, and so that gets him engaged with actual real people. So if we took money and developed our people in a different direction, other than steps to the sale training, and really help them brand themselves, teach them how to brand themselves, spend that money, give them an allowance like you alluded to where that they could, in fact, change the direction of our business and our industry to create more opportunities for themselves and enrich their lives, consequently enriching the lives of the customers that they take care of. That's pretty interesting. Can that be done? Can that be done, ladies and gentlemen? Those of you listening, can that be done? Could you set up a situation? We talked about the group that you deal with having a life coach. Could we take a situation where we took some of our advertising budget, our marketing budget, and I guess obviously there have to be some parameter set up because I haven't thought this out, but I'm thinking about this really for the first time, oddly enough. Why couldn't we treat every individual as an individual within our organization and take X amount of dollars, whatever that amount might be, and help him or her with their business, not make it cookie cutter, but what are your interests? What would you like to be interested in? If the money was available and it hasn't been in the past, what stopped you from doing this, and that would make you working here more fun, easier, better, more rewarding financially and otherwise, emotionally? What would make it better for you? Let's throw some money at that and help develop you in that direction. I think that would be really interesting. I'd love to see a dealer do that. Oh, we'll do it with Yueh Motors.
Well, if there's an allowance for it, and use it or lose it.
Right.
If it's $50 a month per person.
Right. Whatever.
Are they doing? But what it does is it gets them engaged in thinking about how they're networking themselves and how they are branding themselves and doing all that without I can't afford that.
Right.
It's like, well, you're not going to get the $50, but you have the $50.
Right.
Take a prospective client out to lunch or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And it could just change that mentality a little bit, and it could be an allowance where you ask permission. It's like, hey, I wanted to do this, and it's like, well, you don't really ever hear the word no,
right?
But you know where it's going,
right?
So that you can actually track it,
right?
And then that's where the accountability comes in as well,
right?
So,
well, when I sold cars, back when we had they had the crank in the front of the car and so forth, we had, and it's a lot of people turn off old guys like me talking about selling cars back in the old days because, most of the guys my age lie about how many cars they sold. And, but I in fact did sell a lot of cars, but that's not true. Probably 40% of my business was done outside the dealership. I did not sit at my desk and knock down hamburgers or a cheesesteak. I was out. I went to where the customers were. It only makes sense. That's what I did. Now, unfortunately, some of that time was spent in a bar, but you get a lot done in a bar, man. You get Sam Malone behind that counter. He knows everybody, right?
Right.
And he's got your business cards, and he knows every time he hands one out, and he sends that person down to see Craig Lockard to buy a car, he's going to get $100. He's passing out my business cards because he's Sam Malone. Everybody trusts him, and if Sam says go see Craig Lockard or John Yueh down at Yueh Motor Emporium, that's what they're going to do. So that's where a lot of my business came from, and I don't know. I'm not sure I see that anymore. I don't hear about it. It's like. It's the thing that drives me out of my freaking mind is the get them in phrase. Get them in. Get them in. How about we go to them? How about we go to their office? How about we go to their home? How about if we meet them for lunch to show them a car? Why do they have to come into the dealership? That is bullshit. It's making it harder for people to do business with us. It makes no sense at all. It goes along the lines, and it's like, I've heard a lot of, and I think some of the things right now are in terms of marketing. It's like, well, let's make it fun to buy a car. Well, you know what? It ain't never going to be fun to buy a car. It's just, well, that's not true. That's not true. If you were to buy an old Testarossa, that would be fun. But the average car deal, it's not set up to be fun. I don't know. If it's fun for you, great. That's awesome. But certainly it can be easy.
Yes.
Or easier. And the easier we make it, the more likely we are to sell more. One way to make it easy is not to get them in. Let's go to them. It makes no sense to me. It drives me nuts. John, I can't tell you the number of cars I sold. You come in on your lunch hour, okay? Back in the day, it was like we called them lunch hour commandos, the worst possible up. Right, I'm on my lunch hour, give me a brochure, right? And it's like, oh, God, man, that's a burnt opportunity, man. I don't want to take, yeah, okay, brochure rack's over there, here's my card, have a nice day, beat it. The number of cars I sold when I finally understood that's just part of that person's process. Now, this is obviously pre-digital by a lot, there was no such thing. Computers were the size of this building in IBM somewhere. But I understood at some point in my career that was part of that person's process to get around to ultimately buying an automobile. So then in my follow-up, I would find out that they work at some office building. Look, hey, John, I understand it's hard for you to get here. You had to burn some of your lunch hour to come down here, and I understand that and respect your time. Let me do this. I have a certain idea of the type of vehicle, I'm making this up as we go along, that you're looking for. Let me do this. You were here 2 days ago at about noon. That's your normal lunch hour, right? Yeah. Great. Let me do this. I'm going to bring a car down, a representative car, something I think you're going to like based on what you've told me. I'm going to bring it down. Take a few minutes. You can take a few minutes from your lunch and come out, right, when I come down? Yeah, sure. That's no problem. You do that? Yeah, of course I would. I'll do anything possible I can for you that I'm physically capable of doing. So I'll see you at your place about 12:15. So I bring the car down to whatever, their office building. And this is real world. I'm sure it happened, but I can't remember it happening where that person came out by him or herself. They always brought an employee, a team member, someone else, coworker, out with them. So now I got a whole bunch of things in play. I got peer pressure from their coworker, and I have an opportunity for another car deal, perhaps, or a bird dog. Right? Because I'm going to introduce myself to the coworker they brought out. Hi, I'm Craig Lockard. John's here looking at a car, and your coworker, you guys friends, You're not dating, are you? No, or whatever. And so, hey, listen, just to let you know, I pay out a referral fee, yada, yada, yada. So nothing happens that day. They thank me, I go, I leave. If John doesn't, if a day or two later, that coworker or other people in that building are going to be, hey, did you end up buying a car? That guy brought that car out to see you. Did you end up buying that car? There's going to be some peer pressure on him or her, right? Mm-hmm. Makes sense, doesn't it? And plus, I have the opportunity to sell that person a car because they're going to see, well, this guy came out to me or to my friend John to make it easier to buy for them to purchase an automobile. So I'm going to assume that that's going to transfer on after the sale in terms of service and so forth. So I'm going to, opposed to the typical BDC, where it's get them in. We happen to have a great relationship with one, in my opinion, and I'm sure you agree with this, one of the best BDC directors in the country, in my opinion, is Matt Raymond at Team Organization.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're the group, Kristen Dillard, and what do they have now? Three stores?
3 rooftops, yeah.
Right.
Swansboro, Goldsboro, and then the original,
right.
Salisbury.
And I don't know how many people you've put in there, or we collectively. I mean, it's a bunch of people in all departments. In one of our best placements was Matt Raymond. When he was moving south, we were able to put them up. That was a match made in heaven between him and Kristen.
Oh, absolutely.
And Matt is just, he's an all-star, in my opinion. And I don't know this for a fact on how Matt runs this thing. I know that he runs it well, runs it clean. He's very smart and uses all the tools available to him. But Matt, if you're listening to this and you can correct me or tell me I'm right or I'm wrong, I'd like to see a program where you're taking your people and we're going to the customer. Why can't we go to the customer? I'm sick enough where it's just I throw up a little bit of my mouth when I say Carvana. Oh, there it is. And I think the only people that are really talking about it is us internally, but Carvana's, it's no big deal. It's no magic bullet. It's a matter of they don't have to come in anywhere, right? We can go, they go to the customer. The deal, quote unquote, air quotes, is done online, and then we go and deliver the car. So what's the big deal? Why can't just, Yueh Motor Emporium, why can't we just do the same thing? Hey, look, we got a lead. Customer so-and-so is interested in this particular vehicle. Great, I'll bring it out, show it to you. If you like it, buy it. We'll deliver it to you. Do as much as we can electronically, and bang, happy motoring, man.
Actually, a lot of dealers are doing that.
Right.
Roadster, they'll do a white label, but the company is called Roadster. But yeah, it's essentially Carvana. And you do all the paperwork online. It's electronic signatures. You come in, you take delivery, or they'll bring the car to you. Now, in most states, that gives you a right to rescind.
Right.
Because then it's a solicitation.
Dude, you know what? I think that's everyone's main fear. Because that's the 3-day rescind. It's been around forever. Screw it. Who cares?
Right.
What if you take one back? Okay, so what?
Right. Most people won't do that.
Of course not.
Because you lose so much face taking a car back. You're taking, a T-shirt that doesn't fit back is different than, a car. It's like, oh, hey, I just make bad decisions typically.
Dude, I got a dog bed sitting in my garage that I bought this. I don't know. It was like the most expensive dog bed in the world. And Dixie didn't like it. Right?
Right.
I didn't send it back. It's sitting in my freaking garage. And I'm telling you, it's probably $300 or $400. I don't know. It's some ridiculously priced freaking dog bed. I didn't send it back.
Right.
I don't know why. It's easy enough. I got a bed delivered with I don't know, sleeping at 80 million nights and you can return it. I don't like it. I put it in one of my other bedrooms. I didn't send it back.
Right.
But you're right. People don't send it back.
Right.
People don't rescind. And if they do, we might be better off without that customer.
They were going to be a problem anyways.
You bet, man. That's exactly right, right?
So it's an opportunity for everyone, but it's not going to be a huge number of deals.
No.
because that dealer group in the Bay Area, they do have a return policy. 3 days, 250 miles, bring it back, get your money back.
You're foolish if you don't, in my opinion.
Right. And 7 days or 700 miles, you can exchange it for something more expensive.
Gotcha.
So it's not like you can go, to their Lamborghini store and be like, yeah, I'm thinking I'll buy this Aventador, and then on the third day bring it back. Actually, I'll just take this Camry.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
They cap it at 40 grand for that. But
oh, do they?
Yeah. But it's a bluff. You're not going to bring it back.
No.
We're going to provide you with the right experience so that you don't want to bring it back.
Right.
But if you do, if it's the wrong color or whatever, bring it back. No problem.
Right.
Do what you say and say what you do.
When my first foray into consulting was in the late 80s, and I worked with and became partners in a company that did what was called at the time turnaround deals, where we'd go in and we'd hire people and put in a strategy, and then we got paid 50% of whatever we increased that dealer's gross profit over a period of a 105-day contract. And we took over all the marketing, the inventory, the sales strategy, and the people. They appraised all the cars, so there's no games there. But in terms of the marketing, what we did in every single market, no matter what the brand, no matter where the market was, we put in a price guarantee. Excuse me. That if we couldn't beat your next best price by X amount of dollars, we would cut you a check for the difference, whether you bought a car from us or not. And the dealers would get just crazy nervous about that. Well, you're going to give away my money. We could actually not make a deal and give a guy a check for $700? Yeah. Matter of fact, I hope that happens. You hope it happens? Yeah, because then we're going to advertise the hell out of that. And that's what we would do. If we lost a deal, it was the most effective marketing. And back then it was just newspaper, radio, and TV. But I can remember clearly we were in Joplin, Missouri, and I was at we had taken over, they had a Toyota store at one end of the street, and then I was running what the heck was there? Mazda, Porsche, VW, Audi franchise. And they were it was sleepy, man. They're selling 30 cars a month at no profit, and we started selling 100 a month at obscene profits. And we couldn't, there was a deal, and it was a flat-out lowball. It was just, someone was like, okay, well, they're going to do that. We'll just sell a car for nothing and get into their pocket. And it was like $900, I think. And so we cut the guy a check for $900, took a picture of him, handed him a check, put it in the newspaper. Here's one we couldn't beat. And I'm going to tell you what, it was like somebody opened a floodgates, man. It was like, shit, these people are real. They're actually going to pay out money to not sell a car. Their prices are so competitive. It's just like outside the box stuff like that is so important. And I don't see it anymore. It just seems to be the OEMs direct all the marketing and the websites, and it's just like the same old crap over and over and over and over and over again. And I'd really like to see some change. I'd like to see something different, something creative. Something like, and this is a pretty good segue, something like our friends at Dealer World do. Dealer World happens to be a friend of the program, and all our buddies up there, go to mydealerworld.com. They are a full-service performance agency. They handle all your marketing, whether it be traditional, digital, what have you. They're growing and growing and growing and growing. It's just an amazing company. My personal friend Troy Spring runs the show. His story is amazing. Learn more about Troy. He's just a top quality person and car person, and they're an ad agency that really, really gets it done. And you want to talk about, because creative is such a big part of marketing and a big part of advertising, and what they do in terms of creative there, along with all the other tasks that an ad agency needs to do for their clients, they really do a nice job with creative, and it's so important. And they're really, outside the box, which is a overused cliche, obviously, but they really do go outside the box, and they really do a great job. So please help support them. They give Hunter Swift, their vice president, in charge of sales and sales and marketing. Reach out to him via Facebook, or he's everywhere socially. And Hunter will give you a free evaluation on what they can do to help your business sell more cars, make more money. They're just awesome. So look up Troy Spring, Hunter Swift, and the crew from mydealerworld.com. So I guess in picking your people for your dealership, John, and I mean, this is something you do week after week. Now, like we said, you're coming up on 5 years being with AutoMax, which is awesome. You're not allowed to leave, by the way, ever. So if you ever get that in your mind, get rid of that thought, because that's not happening. So I would like to put some people under you, though. We gotta look at that here one of these days, man. We gotta make things easier for you. Get you a little subculture underneath Yueh ninjas. But the people that you want to surround yourself with, would you paint a picture for us of what are those people going to be like in terms of diversity, in terms of characteristics? What are we looking for? And you've mentioned it now 3 times, and as a company, we've been talking a lot about emotional intelligence and how important it is. And I think it's more important today than it's ever been.
Oh, yes.
I think any employee that you hire, it'd be nice to have, you have to have a certain amount of intellect and IQ to be able to understand concepts, tasks, and the technology that it takes to be successful in today's market, regardless of what you do. But it's specifically the automobile industry. You can't be a dope and be successful, I don't think. In the car business, I guess there are cases where you could be, but so you have to have a certain amount of intellect. But more important than that is the emotional intelligence, the self-awareness, the empathy that you need to have for customers and other team members, and so on and so forth. So again, I guess I'm loading your lips, but I'm assuming that would be a really important characteristic that you're looking at anybody that you would hire into your dealership. Yes?
Absolutely. Well, the diversity is good to be prepared for the diversity of customers coming in.
Right.
So, you got to have the gearheads. Those are typically the people I get along best with, or people that just, are way into cars.
Hold that thought.
Yes, sir.
And I hate doing this because this is a rabbit hole, but Ashton Maynor,
Yes.
AutoMax trainer John Yueh, dude changed my life. Thanks, John, for all of that, man. That's nice, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. I interviewed him in North Carolina, and he actually didn't make the first round pick. He was one of my favorites.
Isn't that amazing?
I apologize to anyone else who was in that class that's listening, but he was one of my favorites. I had I had quite a few favorites in there, and he wasn't picked, so I placed him at one of the other dealers, and it was not a good fit. And I got him back into the original dealer in another hiring process.
Oh, gotcha.
And that was earlier this year. Yes. Very beginning of this year. This no concept of time thing is
I know.
messing with me.
It's weird.
I'm like, what year is it?
Right. It's true.
So, he was just crushing it in the car business. He did very, very well.
Yeah.
He's actually moved on to insurance, which seems to be a great fit. But he's just got that natural ability to sell. He just needed the right opportunity to kind of figure out what he wanted to do as well. Because he's come a long way. His personal growth this year has also been exponential.
Yeah.
So just someone with the right attitude.
Yeah.
So.
It's so cool, and that's a big part of. And we constantly go sideways during this podcast, but that for me, and I think, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you remember back, but most of what I tell new trainers when we bring them on is it all comes to fruition that we really do change people's lives, and there's going to be people just in a matter of days that we meet and how they change from when they originally interview with us till we turn them over to the dealership. They literally change. They almost change in appearance. It's so weird what we're able to do in such a short period of time if we have the right mindset and going about doing it. I think something that's in this, and I don't know if you remember me saying this or not, but this has been true right from jump, and I noticed it 2 or 3 campaigns in when I started the company, is that invariably the dealer would overlook what I felt was either the top candidate, potential candidate in the class, or one of the top 3 or 4 for sure. They would not hire that person. And then that person would, like you just said, would place them somewhere else or attempt to place them somewhere else. And I know Anthony has 8 zillion stories, and all of our trainers do. All your brothers and sisters have the same stories where, why didn't this dealer hire this person? It's so, it's like, and we're with them a few days, so we have a better feel. And then when we take that person to the dealer and say, I highly recommend you hire this, but no, I don't like this or that about him. And it's like, okay, man, big mistake. I'm going to put them across the street and they're going to beat your brains out, but it's your choice. But I think it's weird, and it's so good. It's so rewarding. I mean, it's been a long time since I did this in dealerships, but, just living vicariously through all of y'all, it's that still happens to this day, man, to be able to positively affect someone's life like that, that's coming to us with a real need, and we see something in them. And hopefully the host dealer that's hosting the recruiting campaign goes ahead and hires them, or we place them somewhere else. It's so cool to hear back from this person, a year later or what have you. And when they say you changed their life, that's a pretty big deal. That trumps. That trumps money. In my opinion, it really does. To me, anyway, it's like, you can make money doing whatever, John, and you chose this, but to get that feeling of really helping somebody, because in a lot of cases it's a generational change. There's stories ad nauseum about people that I put through initial recruiting classes now own their own dealerships or several dealerships or what have you. And it's just mind blowing to me. It just. And it's like you got to be careful because we can't take a lot of credit for it. All we spent a short amount of time with it, gave them the opportunity, and they took the opportunity, and it's because of them, really.
Right.
But it's just so cool to be involved in that opportunity at all. It's just such a feel-good thing in your heart, It's just
absolutely. I'm not going to claim success because
Right.
someone
No,
that I
of course.
recommended for hire is successful. It's like, oh, see, that person did that, therefore
Right.
I'm great. No,
Right.
I provide an opportunity
Right.
that might not have been there otherwise.
Right.
It's no secret, but the majority of the people that we hire are not going to stick.
Right.
But that's part of what we have to do in the car business to get the right people. So, if they're not going to be successful in the car business, at least maybe they have some more clarity, some more
There you
focus
go.
of what they want to do.
There you are.
So, why not make some money doing it?
Right.
If you hate it, that's fine. It's not for everyone.
Correct.
But, I can't say I've loved it all 18 years that I've been in this business.
Yeah, there's good and bad days, for sure.
Right. And I don't know how much time I wasted with the wrong attitude. How much time have I wasted in my life with the wrong attitude? And, sometimes you just got to catch yourself and say, hey, John, wrong attitude. It's like, yeah, okay. And that's really what we.
Well, that speaks to
wanna
that
teach.
self-awareness, man. It's tough.
Oh, it's really tough.
Yeah. It is. We have a picture of ourselves, whether it be negative or positive, and it doesn't always match up with reality. It's difficult sometimes to see ourselves who we really are, and then act on that and change it, improve it, or adjust it, whatever the case might be, for the overall better good of society and for ourselves, obviously, and our families. It's really interesting that being self-aware and understanding about that wasted time. I do it to this day. It sucks, and
Right.
it drives me nuts. And I know I know in the middle of it, I'm doing it. This is a complete time waster. And it's like, I'll do it anyway. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that tomorrow. And I won't do it for, I don't know, a week, 2 or a month, 2 months, 5 months, whatever. But sometimes I'll circle right back to it and, oh, crap, that's that time waster. Like, so weird, man. So weird. Maybe we are better off with robots or cyborgs or something.
Well, some things, maybe.
Yeah. All right, so I keep taking us away from Yueh
No, we're
Auto Emporium. So, all right, so we're gonna attempt to have a diverse staff, whatever that means, male, female, color, background, so on and so forth. Real diversity. Why? Because our clients are diverse, correct? Like, buy from like, and all those cliches. What are some of the, you talked about emotional intelligence. What else are we looking for with a new hire? What do we really want? I mean, if we could just line our place up with air quotes perfect people, what are they gonna look like? Are they gonna be people more like you? Are we gonna hire, like, okay, I know who I am as a business owner, so now I'm going to surround myself with like people. Am I going to do that, or am I going to say, maybe I'm not like my customers, so I'm going to make it intentional to bring on hires, people that are maybe not just like me. For myself, just a sidebar for a minute, when I first started AutoMax, I thought it was important because I had done this on my own pretty well. So I thought it was important to seek out people that were close to who I felt I was as a person, and just keep duplicating that. That turned out to be a big disaster. It just did not work out. Either I misinterpreted who I was, or the people that I brought on, I just missed. I just screwed up. So it was like, no, that's not the right way to do it. So let me look at different criteria. So I guess criteria is the right word. What criteria are we going to be looking at to fill your store with team members? What are we going to be looking at?
So to borrow a chapter from our friends at Ferguson, one thing that I think other dealerships should do is not necessarily cross-train, but when you're onboarded, do every job in the dealership. Maybe not every job, but if you're hired in sales, you should be washing cars for 2 days. You should be an assistant to a service advisor.
Yeah, write this stuff down, listeners.
For a day or two, because I think it's very important, and a lot of people don't necessarily know, but of my 18 years in the car business, half has been in service and half has been in sales. And it's always bothered me since day one in the car business, the invisible wall that exists in most dealerships between the sales department and the service department.
Line of demarcation.
And, even as a salesperson, I would hang out in service departments a lot. I tend to just start becoming a service advisor by hanging out there. I mean, that's happened to me on multiple occasions. But if a salesperson can be a service advisor for a couple of days, they kind of get an idea as to what happens back there. And vice versa, the service advisor, which, is still a sales position, if they're on the showroom floor, I mean, they'll probably just get bored and, can't handle the downtime.
Yeah, well, that's a fact, because the service advisors got, 10 times the opportunities during the course of a week? Oh, no, crap. What am I talking about? They have 10 times more opportunities per day
Easily.
than a salesperson would in a week sometimes. So.
I mean, depending on the dealership and time of year and where you are. And then, have that person also be an assistant finance manager. How does the money work? I think it's so important that everyone in the dealership knows how the money works. Like how, it's like an MBA type of program. And it's not like you force people in it because, if someone is absolutely not interested, okay. But you never know when there's that after hours service person
There you go.
that needs to close out an RO,
Right.
and the service department's closed, but
Right.
sales is open.
Right.
So there's overlap there. That's
Right.
opportunity.
Yes.
Because if you have a salesperson closing out an RO and it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, they had their car serviced. I was thinking about this or something.
There you go.
You might actually have an opportunity to sell a car.
Yeah.
But the overlap, it gives. It's kind of like. I'm not a doctor or whatever, but in med school, your residencies and all of that, you do a bunch of different things.
Well, that's a good
You go
good
be
example.
You go through all the fields so that you kind of have a better idea as to what your
Yeah.
passion is and what
Right.
you want to do.
Right.
Because I kind of just ended up being a service advisor just cause.
Right.
Sales was a little bit too slow for me.
Right.
And it ended up being one of my favorite jobs.
Right. Yeah. I started off in service as well. It was pretty interesting. Yeah, I would agree 100%. I think I know that it's imperative when we have a new hire, and like you said, regardless of position, man, I want that person to have a feel for each department in that dealership. That onboarding is so critical. I am absolutely convinced, and anecdotal data suggests very strongly that most of our turnover is happening within hours, days, or the first several weeks, for sure, in car dealerships. That's when that turnover is happening. It's not happening, 90, 120 days in, although maybe that's when they pull the trigger, but they've mentally checked out, sometimes within hours of starting at the dealership, because we have no plan to properly, professionally onboard that man or woman into the dealership. And what you're talking about is really getting them engaged, educating them on what a car dealership really does. When you think about it, man, it's really we can really complicate this thing. It is a dozen businesses all under one quote unquote roof.
Oh, yeah.
Or on a piece of property. I mean, you have a bunch of different things going on. You got a bank, you got a used car lot, you got a new car lot, you got service, you got collision, you got a parts business, on and on and on. There's so many. You have a telemarketing room. And if you hire me to be an automobile salesman, it's like, okay, well, my job is to sell a car. Okay, but the support staff that goes into me being able to accomplish what you hired me to do is immense. And I need to know that, all of that, in my opinion, to understand how we have to work in a synergistic environment for this thing to be of optimum success. And that's, if I'm bringing a new person into my organization, I want to be able to have the potential to be able to do that, to really put him or her in a position to be as successful as they possibly can be. But they need to know everything. We're going to be adding a couple new people to AutoMax Recruiting, and one of the first things we talked about when we're trying to identify the exact fit is that person's going to be cross-trained within everything. So we got a crazy situation now where it's not. A lot of our internal people are air quoted cross-trained, but not enough. So we are paying very strict attention to that going forward. That they're going to be able to sit in a lot of different seats, which is just, I don't know, it's a must, man. That's a must. That's a must. If at Yueh Motor Emporium, change the name of your store here a couple times. If you're looking for a service advisor and you hire her and you bring her in, and she has no or little understanding of how the BDC works and how that service appointment gets into her, that's not good. She needs to know how that works from the marketing aspect of what created that service lead for the oil change coupon or whatever. How did that end up on the other end of her phone? I think it's so important that everyone in the dealership is, God, these cliches are endless, on the same page, where they really understand everyone's job in the store. And I think that is going to help reduce the obscene amount of turnover that we're experiencing.
Right.
Because I don't know, why else is there turnover? The turnover can only happen from a poor environment, a poor culture, a lack of money, a lack of training or developing, which is going to, if you don't train and develop the person properly, they're not going to make any money and they're going to leave.
Yep. Complacency.
Right. So, solving turnover is not that difficult. It's just, it's the line I've used for such a long time. Did we hire him dead or kill him after you got him? It's, if you have a good idea of who you want to hire and the characteristics of that person, and you bring that person on, you've greenlit them, congratulations. You're not going to be at King Kong Yueh Motors. And here's the things, and here's your progression. Here's how you're going to be developed. Here's your program before you even talk to. We put guests up from out of town when they come out of town at the beautiful Holiday Inn near here. Clerks at a Holiday Inn, they're not allowed to talk to a guest for 2, 3, 4 weeks after they're hired. A desk clerk at a Holiday flippin' Inn is not allowed to talk to a guest until they've gone through proper training with somebody else. At most car dealerships, still to this day, whatever. Enough of them don't, where it's just, okay, there's little or no training, and go get them, sink or swim. It still happens to this day, which is totally mind-blowing. If we just slowed it down a little bit and really took the long game to this and said, man, it's like, this is the right person. I can't let this person leave. I'm going to give him or her every opportunity, all the knowledge and the development, all the ability to be able to know as much as I do in this job, and to really train people to take your job. If I'm an owner of a business, again, I'll go back to AutoMax. I want, more than anything else, for all of our recruiter trainers, all 20 plus of you folks, to have 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't care what it is, 10 people, quote unquote, underneath you developing them, and have your own business within a business. I'm all about that. Is it dangerous? Yeah, that's a little dangerous. I could potentially be, developing competition for my own company. But the long game is just, man, if I could help you establish your own company and get bigger, why not? Why it would be foolish, stupid, completely ignorant of me to not want to see you be more successful than I am in regard to this business. It would be stupid. Why wouldn't I want to put you in a position to be crazy successful? It just makes no sense. And in a car dealership, why wouldn't we want to hire people that could potentially take our jobs, that have the ability, the drive? And you know what? If we do and they leave, okay. We've done our job, and for the time that they've been there, they've operated at an optimum degree, and they've left and they've been successful somewhere else. God bless them. That's awesome. What if they stay? That gives us opportunities to do other things, buy additional dealerships or whatever. There's zero downside to overdeveloping an employee. Zero downside to overdeveloping an employee. Zero downside. There's nothing bad that can happen. So how about if you owned a dealership, what about, you had mentioned, doing a life coach, which I think is freaking awesome. What about outside training, conferences and so forth? What would your stance be on sending your people to different learning conferences, training things around the country? What would be your stance on that? What do you feel about that?
Oh, I would absolutely send people.
Yeah.
Get them out of the dealership for a little bit. Go on a, on a work based trip. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the trips when working in dealerships. Everything from going to Joe Verdi training to
Right.
going to the 12 hours at Bathurst, which
What is that?
that's an endurance race in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Bathurst is a very technical track. It's about an hour west of Sydney.
Yeah.
And Peugeot decided they were going to get back into motorsports, and they had 2 cars that contended at the 12 hours at Bathurst. So I went there, and that was a life-changing trip. I mean, to say it was business, no. Total paid for everything. The giant French lubricant company.
What was the track like? What was a endurance race, you say?
Yes. So the Bathurst is it's not as well known as I thought it was pretty well known, but it's more technical than even the Nürburgring, Nordschleife. It's got about a 2,000-foot elevation change. It's got blind off-camber corkscrew turns.
Whoa.
This track will bring seasoned race car drivers they become children. They're just like, they know nothing. So, I mean, it's just a very, very interesting track because there's one straightaway and all of that. You can go, you go up to the top of the hill and all of that. It's worth Googling. Bathurst, Bathhurst.
And that's in Western Australia?
Eastern Australia.
Oh, okay.
So it's an hour west of Sydney.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the Bathurst 1000 is the most popular race there. It's 1,000 miles, and it used to just be Holden versus Ford, supercar V8s, and that it gets very intense because of the rivalry.
Yeah.
And they limit the drinking and all of that. So people, they go, they know where they're gonna go. So they'll go to this Bathurst town, which it's a sleeper of a town. There's nothing going on there. It's gorgeous, but there's the racetrack and that's it.
Right.
So there's nothing there. So they'll go months ahead and then bury, like a case of beer. And then when the race comes, you go out and you're camping, so you can have views of the track and all that. So, the culture there is interesting. And I got to be there for the 12 hours.
That's awesome.
So, and that was with Peugeot.
What? How'd you end up in Australia? I forget how that all went down.
So, my wife had a secondment opportunity in New Zealand. This was when she was working for Grant Thornton, one of the big accounting firms, and so she came home one day and was like, "Hey, how do you feel about moving to Auckland?" I was like, "Oh, I love California." No, not Oakland. So yeah, got the work visas and all that. That was shockingly invasive, getting a New Zealand work visa.
Yeah. How so?
There's a whole physical. There's like a 23-page application. The doctor has to initial the edges and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no diseases, no felonies, nothing. I mean, they want to make sure you're vaccinated because there's no rabies or anything. There's nothing in New Zealand that can kill you.
Yeah.
There's nothing poisonous or anything like that. It's the exact opposite of Australia.
Well, in New Zealand. Okay, yeah. Because I was going to say in Australia, it's the Wild West, man.
Yeah,
they brought in
everything
some pretty nasty animals into that country.
Everything can and wants to kill you.
Right.
But yeah, New Zealand's the exact opposite. It's
Really?
actually this. You never look at New Zealand without seeing Australia, which means you're
Right.
looking at half the globe. So you don't realize that it's about 1,500 miles between, of the Tasman Sea between the two countries.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
And, so you're always seeing it in a zoomed out thing. So
where they look attached, or almost.
right, yeah,
Yeah, they're
it's
neighbors,
like
but
L.A.
they're
to
not.
Chicago is
Right,
about the distance.
right.
It's this gorgeous, tropical island, volcanic soil. Everything's organic. It's the first country to not have GMOs and all that. So
Really?
yeah, the produce tastes different. The livestock taste is different. I was lactose intolerant when we moved there.
Yeah.
I am no longer lactose intolerant.
How does that come about?
I have no idea, but it's an enzyme that dairy doesn't bother me anymore. Just
What-
you need 2 years of New Zealand dairy to go through you, I guess.
Who originally settled New Zealand? Who were the first people there?
Oh,
Were they indigenous people or?
Captain Cook. That was the. It was up in Paihia, the Bay of Islands. Gorgeous place. This is the right time of year to go. because it's summer next week.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah.
It's summer there.
Yeah. And Christmas, there's a really cool tree in New Zealand called the Kari tree. It looks like just kind of a exotic pine tree that kind of grows out a little bit. But right around this time of year, it sprouts these red needles.
No.
So it's red and green. It's the New Zealand Christmas tree. It's pretty cool. So
That is cool.
when we were there, let's see, it would have been December of 2012. We moved there. It was spring here, so it was autumn there. So we had a whole year of winter. And then one summer, and then a whole nother year because we were there for a year and a half. So, 2 years of winter and then one summer. So that one summer, though, I went to Bathurst. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, New Zealand's a wonderful, wonderful country.
Yeah. Surfing there like Australia or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Paddleboard, like anything that has to do with adrenaline. The Kiwis love that.
And they don't have because like Australia's full of, I mean, like whoever it was brought because there was no animals in Australia. Everything's imported, right? I
The
mean,
marsupials?
well, like lions, tigers, bears, reptiles, everything was brought into Australia, I believe.
Yeah, there were things introduced to Australia that probably shouldn't have been.
Right, yeah, because there's no predators there. It's like, so they're just building and building.
I've
and
only
building.
been to Australia twice. But,
Yeah.
the Bathurst, and then we went there right before we moved back. So
Yeah,
summer
that'd be a
city.
bucket list thing. You guys gonna go back or what?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I still have friends down there.
Oh, do you?
I don't know if anyone is watching, but yeah, it's I made some great friends there.
That's cool.
So,
And then what'd you do? Did you sell there or
Yeah.
were you working in service there? I forget.
I started out. I went to the Ferrari store, and they were like, "Yeah, no, people line up to work here."
Really?
Also, the culture over there, flashy cars are not a status symbol. It's kind of a giant waste of money is how they see it. Keeping in mind, any given car, it's about an 80% tax. So, your entry-level Ford Fiesta is going to be a $30,000 car.
Whoa.
Also, petrol over there, it was about $2.50 per liter when I was there, which is $10 a gallon. So, you have your Lamborghini Aventador that gets 10 miles per gallon. By the way, it's like $500 to fill it up, and it's thirsty.
Yeah.
But this was a very big company called Sime Darby, and they were the importer, distributor, and retailer for Ferrari, Maserati, Porsche, Audi, Volkswagen, Nissan, BMW, Hino, and Peugeot.
Hino?
Hino. Yeah, they make trucks typically. So, yeah, Peugeot, they only had one job available, and it was selling Peugeots on the North Shore. And beggars can't be choosers. And they provided I had a drive car, is what they called it.
Yeah.
We call them demos over here. But,
Right. A drive car.
right. Because I was shopping for a car over there. I was like, wow, this is exciting. I'm looking at right-hand drive, because they drive on the right side of the car, or the correct side, as they say. But the left side of the road, that's a little bit of a mental issue. But
Yeah.
I'm like looking at 10-year-old Hondas for like $10,000-$15,000. I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't have to buy a car.
Yeah.
And the Peugeot was exotic to me because I had just spent 9 years at a Ferrari, Bentley, and Maserati store, and Lotus.
Peugeot. The car. There has to be a big difference between the Peugeots that are imported into the U.S. and the ones that are not, because they seem like total junk here. But
Well, they haven't been
they're an
imported
awesome
in
car.
almost 30 years.
Oh, is that right?
92 was the last year, I think.
Oh, no way! I didn't know that.
But their powertrain, PSA and BMW co-developed the powertrain. So just some of the older Minis, Mini Coopers, those were all Peugeot
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
BMW produced drivetrains.
Oh,
The current Minis are all BMW now.
yeah.
But PSA, they just merged with FCA.
Oh,
So, so that partnership's going to be, in my opinion, brilliant. But
Yeah.
I also have a soft spot in my heart for French and Italian cars.
yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting world.
What are you driving now?
Just got a Jeep. actually. Speaking of FCA, Italian company made in Toledo,
Yeah.
Mexican engine, Japanese transmission.
But it's a domestic.
Technically, no. It's
No?
not enough content to be domestic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the Mexican engine and
Yeah.
Japanese gearbox. But,
Interesting.
So it's technically not a domestic car. But there's only, I think, 6 or 7 cars you can buy in the U.S. that are domestic.
Yeah.
Because you have to have 75% parts content.
Oh, is that what the
and
breakdown is?
And then also assembled here.
Yeah, I know there was a percentage. I didn't know it was 75%. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think the best-selling domestic car, and someone's probably going to Google this, and that's fine, but I believe it's the Honda Accord.
Right. Best-selling domestic car.
I believe so. I think the new gearbox has enough parts that it might sway that. I think some of the CVTs do that, but
Producer Adam, if you could Google that. Number one, what is it? What do we want him to Google?
domestic,
Number one domestic selling car in the U.S.
right? And that could be a difficult
I'm on it.
search just because each model is going to be different.
Right. Yeah.
It's such a worldly industry we're in.
Yeah.
Like this Dodge Challenger that Hertz upgraded me to. It's an Italian company. There's hardly any American parts on it, but it's your quintessential iconic American muscle car,
Yeah.
and it's comfy. It's like being in your living room with 400 horsepower.
I sold those things new. Well, actually, I sold Cudas. But I can remember a truckload of Cudas coming in and park alongside the side road before they unload. Literally, it was a big event where we had a certain idea the day that truck was coming in, the transport truck was coming in with the Cudas on them, and it would be literally a group of people, 5, 6, 7 people, standing there waiting for those cars to unload. And we'd take them in, sign them up, they take delivery. I mean, it was like, and that was 1974 or whatever it was, and it was weird. It was just weird. And we jacked up the price. We hit them with a $1,000 addendum. But back in the 70s, it's like, I don't think we used addendum. What did we use? We gotcha. or like,
Well, it's the market price.
You're right, yeah.
Same reason why people don't pay sticker when they walk in for, call it a normal car.
right.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, you're okay with it going that way, but not the other way.
Yeah.
The market reflects what the car's worth.
Yeah. It's so weird. I wouldn't know how to act anymore. When I sold cars, at the beginning when I sold cars, we legit had 20% markups in cars. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, legit 20%. I also sold cars through the, when the recession, it's like interest rates were. I was running a huge Cadillac Olds AMC Jeep Renault dealership, and it was 20% interest, man. Selling new Cadillacs. It was like, it's mind-boggling. It's like 20%, and we sold a crap load of cars. And now it's like whatever it is, 3% or whatever. No interest loans and so on and so forth. It's changed so much. Talking about change, as now you've done this for almost coming up 5 years. I picked a picture when I put about the show. I found a picture of you and Heather in the training room. A shout out to our friend Heather Allred. You still talk to Heather, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Every once in a while.
Yeah, she's awesome. I talked to her boy Danny Benitez the other day on the phone.
Great guy.
A couple of weeks ago. Danny's awesome, man. He's been a good customer of AutoMax over the years and friend. So at any rate, so you've been doing this now coming up 5 years. One of the most requested trainers that we have is like you're locked into, dealer has you at their dealership. When they need something, it's like, okay, yeah, just send John Yueh. Don't send anybody else. So,
Hey, real quick,
yeah,
Craig.
yeah,
I just have a list of the best-selling cars and trucks so far in 2019.
okay.
This is from July. But
July,
the top of the list is the Ford Fusion, and this isn't just American-made cars. This is all cars.
Okay.
Ford Fusion,
yeah.
Jeep Cherokee, Nissan Altima, Nissan Sentra, Jeep Wrangler, Toyota Tacoma, Jeep Grand Cherokee, and Honda Accord. So
Okay.
that's at the top of the list.
That sounds right. Awesome. Thank you to millionaire producer Adam here at All Systems Go AV. Well, let me put a plug in for All Systems Go AV. First of all, they're a full-service video production company. They do amazing work. Adam, what's the name of the clothing store? I guess it's an actual department store in Doylestown that you guys did that spot for. What's that called?
It's
Holly?
called Fox and Holly.
Fox and Holly?
Yeah, Fox and Holly in Doylestown.
Yeah, you guys got to, those of you that are listening, sure, John, check out All Systems Go AV's work. Look at their Instagram account and so forth. They do a super job. And one of the things, if you're interested in podcasting, they have a really nice setup here. They're in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. And whether you want to do a video podcast or just audio platform, whatever, they do a nice job here. They produce the shows, in my opinion, really well. The quality of the equipment and the service and the product they provide is aces. And they're just a great company and growing company and really, really nice guys. So shout out to All Systems Go AV. And if anyone wants any information on doing a podcast, reach out to me, and I'll hook you up with Adam or Dave or the guys. And man, they really do a nice job. And podcasting is it's pretty cool. So if you want some more information on that, we would be happy to help you with that. Mr. Yueh's taking a pee right now, so he'll be back in a minute. So while he's gone, I want to talk about a couple other friends of the program, and one of those friends would be Rockstar Automotive. That's right, the Rockstar Auto Conferences, and our friend Matt Keening. So the next one is in March, and I'm sorry, Matt, this is my bad here, but it's March. I think it's 16 and 17. Let me look real quick here. Rockstar Auto Conference 2019. No, Vegas. So we're going to be back in Vegas, and March 15 and 16. That's a Sunday, Monday at the Vidara. I believe I'm saying that right. VDARA Hotel and Spa in Las Vegas. The Rockstar 2020 Vision Event, March 15th and 16th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Go to rockstarinfo.com, rockstarinfo.com. And at the very least, Mr. Joe Lockard, my oldest son and the Director of Operations for AutoMax Recruiting and Training, will be speaking there. I have no idea what he's going to speak on at this point, but Joe Lockard will be there, along with some other terrific speakers. And John and I were just talking about sending people to conferences, and I'm a big proponent of it. You got to be careful where you send people, and you got to have a plan before they go. But it's knowledge is power, man, and putting that power into practice is ultimate power. So I think the more education you can have in our industry, the better off you are. Rockstar, you can learn a lot. The networking's awesome. The speakers are terrific. They always have been. AutoMax is proud to be a sponsor of the Rockstar events. So, and they, of course, in turn, help sponsor the podcast. So we have a really good relationship. But you want more information on that event, March 15th and 16th in Vegas, go to this. Go to it. I believe your ticket, and it'll be on the info page, I believe your ticket includes a suite at the resort and spa. So it's a first-class event. Matt just puts on, I mean, there's a energy in that room, always is. Really like to see you guys there. I'm personally going to try to make it out to this one. Joe Lockard will be there for sure. I don't know if our buddy Anthony Santangelo is going to be there or not. He might be. We'll see. But the speaker lineup is just spectacular. So we want to thank Rockstar Auto Conference for their support of the Recruiter podcast. So welcome, John. You feel a little bit lighter now that you peed? You all
Right.
good? All right, cool.
It's important to hydrate.
It is. Yeah, and we have the Fiji water, so we're good. What time do I have to get you out of here again? 12:30, 12:45?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're good. We got another. We can hang in there an hour. That's cool. All right, so I've seen, and I think, oh, okay. So where we're going, I don't think I let you answer this. In the 5 years that you've been doing this on the road for AutoMax recruiting and training, obviously we changed some processes internally during the course of time you've been with us, so that consequently changed how it changed a lot of things. But have you seen? Has there been a difference in the applicant that is interviewing? Because you interview, I don't know, what the heck do you interview over the course of the year? I don't know, 1,000 people or whatever it is.
20 to 70 per week.
Right. Have you noticed any shift, any big difference in who that person is that you're sitting down to interview with now as opposed to 5 years ago? And then the second part of that, have you noticed any change or difference in terms of direction of who's getting hired by the dealership? Do you see any trends one way or another? Do you see anything that's been a major change or even a minor change that over the 5 years that you've been doing this? Because I mean, obviously a lot of things have changed in the business, but in terms of the applicant, him or herself, and who the dealer's hiring, have you seen any swings of any significance at all?
You know, I see a lot more people under 30 and over
Yes.
50, and not a whole lot in between.
Huh. That's interesting.
I think the car business tends to attract people who are looking for a new career.
Yeah.
They don't want to go get, a bunch of student loans and get riddled with debt just
Yes.
to kind of, crawl further into that hole, proverbial hole. And then people that are looking for a second career. Technology is taking over some things.
Yep.
And as that progresses, there's some jobs that are just being completely eliminated.
Right.
Yeah.
Hashtag learn the code.
Right. Right. So, there's a discrepancy there. There's not a whole lot of what I guess you could refer to as Generation Xers. I guess millennials are about 35 now.
Yeah.
But that's in that age range. But
Right.
between 30 and 50, there's just not a whole lot
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
that I've been interviewing.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But people in their 50s, even 60s, they're applying for the jobs.
Right.
And, I explain what the job is and what's required and all of that. And, I don't have any dealers that discriminate or anything like that.
Right.
It's always funny when applicants bring that up. It's like,
They
really?
do, don't they?
Like, why would you go there?
Right.
Like, did you just threaten me with discrimination? And by the way, I just kind of,
Right.
I didn't
So-
cut you loose or anything.
Right.
It's just like, I'm moving you forward. It's like, oh, a lot of people don't want to hire me because of my age. I'm like, that's illegal, right? So, I mean, it's clear you have a bad attitude. It could
Right.
be age-related, but that's up to you.
Right. Yeah. Self-fulfilling prophecy will kick in pretty
Right.
quick.
So, yeah, it's changing a little bit in terms of applicants.
Yeah.
But, people, there's always, the exciting part of our business is the people.
Yep.
I have no idea who's going to walk through the door
No.
next. And it's almost identical to selling cars. You don't know who's going to walk through the door.
Right.
It could be your next best friend. It could be your next boss. It could be your next, got to go to Hawaii together. You don't know who's walking through the door.
That's right.
Or where they've been or what they've done. And so it's exciting to me to get to know people. There's just such a spectrum of people out there. And, I like immersing myself in local cultures. I guess I interview people better now. I mean, I remember them a little bit better. I take a lot of notes so that I don't forget.
Right. So when they're in class, so to speak, you can refer back to something from the interview. Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if someone says something, I can check my own notes.
Right.
It's like, hey, did such and such tell you that
Right.
they worked in the business before? I was like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it becomes useful, but really focusing on the people aspect is what keeps it exciting.
Right. What have you noticed personally? Any increase, decrease, or no change at all in terms of number of female applicants that we're getting, and or let's carry that forward that dealers are bringing on?
Huge increase.
Yeah. More women.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. It's what the industry needs.
Yeah.
Women are better listeners.
What? I wasn't listening.
Right? Yeah. I don't even know what I was saying. But it improves the industry, in my opinion. It's the biggest step you can take in eliminating that stigma. The stereotype of the sleazy used car sales man. You have to specify gender on that one because I think the idea of a stereotype of a sleazy used car sales woman, that idea just doesn't exist in the majority of brains. So, yes, I've seen a lot more women get hired, and it's becoming more appealing.
Right.
I think.
Right. Well, it is without question. It would be the most ignorant business hiring decision known to man if you took 100 applicants, 50 or more women, 50 men, and just so, okay, hey, ladies, go ahead, you're excused. Right? So I'm just going to pick from these 50 guys. It's like, come on, man. It's just, I mean, this is a math equation. It's just, more opportunities, just hire the best people, regardless of gender. Let's hire the best people. But it's went beyond that, and I think it is changing. We got a lot of women hired this year. I mean, a boatload. And so if, I don't know what NADA stats are, but if it's 8 or 9%, I'm going to tell you what, ours got to be 3 times that. I mean, no shit. I mean, we're probably 25% of our new hires are probably female, which is, in my opinion, pretty exciting. Probably should be more, but again, it comes down to who's most qualified for the position. I don't care what the hell they are, but
Correct.
Certainly to not even consider hiring women for all the stupid reasons that dealers give sometimes is just, it's mind-boggling. She's too attractive, she's too hot, she's a potential lawsuit looking to happen. She's got to take care of her kids. Or I mean, it's like some of this stuff I hear these things, and it's like, are these things really coming out of your mouth? Come on, man. It's like these are human beings. Let's have I mean, the statistical data is ridiculous. So in terms of decision makers and the research and so forth is so heavily female. And I think more so back in the service department. I don't know if you experienced this, but I certainly did when I was a service writer a million years ago. I mean, it was the overwhelming majority. I don't know, 80, 90% of the people who brought their cars in were females. It was like, hey, honey, take the car in the shop tomorrow. We got an appointment, it was maybe caveman stuff. I got to go out and kill a beast, but you're going to have to take the car to the car dealership, so... it's like, female service writers, I don't know.
And my sister-in-law's a service advisor.
Is she?
She's a really good one, too.
Yeah.
Which is shocking for being 14 years old. I'm joking. She turned 28 on Saturday. But I met her when she was like 11 or 12, and so I just think of her as a little girl.
You got older, she did not.
Right. But it's a joke, and she's probably going to watch it anyways. But yeah, she's in the car business. She's a service advisor at AutoNation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're at
Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Southwest in in the Denver area.
Before I forget, I should have cut this earlier in the show, but again, no baloney, listeners, viewers. John Yueh is just, we have kind of a niche business. There's a bunch of one-man bands around the country that attempt to do what we do. This is not hyperbole or anything. This is just a fact that AutoMax Recruiting and Training is the largest automotive recruitment company in the country. It's just a fact. And John is one of the premier people in the country doing this job. And that's just a fact. That's that you are, and you're one of the most requested, if not the most requested trainer that we have, or you're at least in the top handful, that's for sure. But how can dealers, people get a hold of you? What are some of the different ways people can reach out to you, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever? How do
Sell
they
is
find you?
best. Facebook, LinkedIn. I check
Right.
all of them
Right.
obsessively. Apple nailed it when they put those little red dots.
Mm.
I've got to clear the red dots. So.
Yeah. Right. Right. And last name's Yueh, pronounced Yueh, kind of like a U-turn.
Yeah, like if you're driving down the road and you want to turn around.
Right. That's a Yueh. Okay, so we're gonna hire people. We're not gonna hire dead people. We're gonna hire them. We're gonna bring them on. We're gonna onboard them properly. What kind of culture are we going to have at your dealership? What's that thing going to feel like? When people walk in the morning, John, what could they expect at your dealership? From you, so to speak, on down, in the people that you entrust executive management positions to and so forth. What are they going to be responsible to in terms of the rest of the team members at your store, at your dealership? What's that going to look like? And I don't know however you take culture. What's your culture going to be at your dealership? What are we really aiming for here? We're going to sell cars that make money, given. But how are we going to get there? What's that culture going to be like at your store? Would you say? How do you see it?
It just has to be a place where people want to be,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're buying a car or not. There's a dealer in Denver that actually they do not use us yet. I've been trying to get in with them for years.
How dare they?
Right. But they've got a strong process. They're a one-price store. I service my wife's car there. It's a mini dealer. And it's just nice to physically be there. There's no pressure from anything. It's just nice. They used to serve like really amazing coffee. I think they figured out how much that costs, but they used to have coffee that was like, there's a small roaster in Denver called Sweet Bloom, and they just, this coffee just blow your mind. And, I would actually stop there if I'm driving by. I'll just stop and say hi. I was like, no.
Here for a cup of coffee.
If you have a mini product, you're going to be spending some time in the service department.
Oh, really?
Well, it's just it's not a Econo car. It's a boutique hatchback.
Yeah.
Well, actually, hers is a Roadster. But they're not cheap. It's still a BMW brand.
Right.
Yeah. And that the car is, I don't know, it's a perfect car. For my wife, she just loves driving, and it's a hoot to drive. I swear with the right tires on it, this car can handle with supercars. I take it up these canyon roads. Anyways, but and part of the brand, that particular brand, and that's why I went a little bit off on a tangent. People become they call them mini maniacs or miniacs or whatever. It's a passion for the brand. And so people are happy to be there and contributing to that and all of that. But people that are just happy to be there, that's kind of what it needs to be.
Right.
And with overlapping training, if your salesperson knows how to handle a repair order or anything like that, there can be fill-in. There can be things like that. If you have a hot customer, someone knows how to handle it.
Right.
Instead of, I don't know what to do and I can't do anything at all.
Yep.
So, that working together, that synergy culture makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because, the worst thing as an employer is if your employees cringe to go to work.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's just a matter of time before they're not there anymore.
Right.
And is that from complacency, from not being underappreciated? Because if you ask just about anyone, everyone's undercompensated.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you're paying me too much. It doesn't.
Right.
that doesn't go out in the universe. So I think it's important too, along those lines. I think every employee, we do it with an AutoMax. We have and there's a limit to it. Excuse me, but they're allowed to spend X amount of dollars to make a customer happy, which is important, I think. So you don't have to, let me check, and play that whole game. It's like, God, man, it's cliche day here, but to empower your team members to be able to make a decision to keep a customer happy or whatever, or to reward a customer, long-term customer, whatever the case might be, or to gain a new customer, what have you. I tell the story, I've told this on the podcast before, but how long ago? Has it been a year? No. I don't know. I went through some pretty extensive radiation last spring, whatever. And 5 times a week for 6 straight weeks. So, and these people were, if you could make radiation fun, this place it was a cancer center, and these people were amazing. They were just like legit into their patients. Like, just made you feel good about a really crappy situation. So it was coming near the end of my, it was going to be the last day of my last treatment. And so there was a Chick-fil-A right next door. So I thought, I'm going to get these people, buy them all lunch. And there was like a lot of people involved. And I spent, I don't know what it was, a couple $100 gift certificate or something. So I pull up the Chick-fil-A window and I ordered $11.38 worth of food for myself. I said I need a $200 gift card. So I pull up, and there was a young girl working the cash register that hands out the food, and then there was another guy standing next to me. He said, gee, boy, somebody's going to be really happy with this $200 gift certificate. I said, well, and it's just, I wasn't even thinking. I said, yeah, but spent, over a month and a half here next door getting some treatments, so forth, and they were so awesome. I was just going to get that as a gift. Oh, that's really sweet of you, blah, blah, blah. So she hands me out the bag. I hand her my credit card. And she said, your lunch is on us. I said, what do you mean? Why is that? She said, well, because I overheard your conversation. I think it's really cool that you did that for these people next door. And that's, our way of, saying how awesome you are or whatever. And it was like, here's I don't know, John, 19, 20, 21-year-old girl, in that area. It's $11.38, right? So it's not, but she was authorized to just give away $11.38 worth of food. And I think, it struck me like, wow, what a great policy. When people talk about Chick-fil-A and this and that and another thing, and there's not, you have to go political to hear someone say something bad about Chick-fil-A. It's not the food or the service.
Right.
Right. So, but at a car dealership, as a salesperson, you give somebody $11, you're getting called on the carpet. In a lot, not, that's probably an exaggeration, but, it's in my opinion that all dealerships, most businesses, but all dealerships should certainly be set up with some sort of ability to give the team members the empowerment to be able to make a decision within X amount of dollars to keep a customer happy, gain a new customer, whatever the case might be.
Yes.
And again, an allowance. Here's $500, John. Use it towards your branding, getting a new customer, keeping a customer, taking a bad situation, make it good, whatever. So you got $500 this month. Have at it, right? Use it. and it goes against their marketing budget. It comes right off the statement. It goes in as an expense. Bang, it's gone. God bless America. Uncle Sam pays some of it. So,
Right.
but I think that's important, man. It's really important to, and I think obviously it's good for the customer, but I think it's great for the employee where they really feel like they're in on things. Then at that point, it's like, okay, this is mine. If you remember last November at the AutoMax conference, it's like, I start these conferences off the same way every time. Who's AutoMax? And everybody goes, we are AutoMax. Who's AutoMax? We are AutoMax. And it's like, it's cute and it's a little, getting going thing, but it's a fact. It's like, AutoMax is not Craig Lockard. AutoMax is all the men and women that make up the team that becomes, in fact, AutoMax Recruiting and Training. That's who we are. It's not me. It's all y'all. Thank God. And so the more that we can empower you to do that, and I think Ernie's probably been talking a little bit about that on some of these conference calls here. It's like, do what you need to do to make a customer, and I think that's important. And if I'm running a dealership today, with the way the market is very competitive, I'm going to take a look at every possible little edge that I can as an owner or a leader in that store and give my people the ability to make decisions on their own, giving them some parameters and the whys. Here's X amount of dollars to spend, and here's why you would be spending it. And this is what you expect back. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't. But that's what that money's for. And really give them the opportunity to run their own business within a business. We always say that in the car business. Well, this is like your own business. Okay, well, that's bullshit because it's really not. Yeah, they give you a desk. Yeah, they give you customers. Yeah, they give you this and that and another thing. But at the end of the day, it's like it's my way or the highway in most stores. I'm not talking about all stores, but in a lot of stores. But to be able to flip that paradigm and make it in such a manner where they really do feel like they're in on things, where you as a leader can offer up to people the opportunity to truly develop a company within a company, to where they're fully invested in it emotionally and physically. We spend so much time there. It's if you give me the ability to be able to really make me feel like I can make a decision and I can really help this company as a whole, consequently helping me as well, helping a customer, helping my other team members. I don't know if you remember, and I had a text conversation with Anthony about this yesterday on the phone. Last year, I was going to put something into effect. I forget exactly how I worded it, but whoever recruited the most females and veterans was going to get X amount of dollars. In about a month or two, maybe, into that thing, it's like, what am I doing? I'm setting trainers up to work against each other. I set it up as a competition between trainers, which just is counterintuitive to what I really want. I want everybody working together. But the competition was like, not that there's nothing that you could do to hurt another trainer, but why not all work together rather than apart? When I was in the car business, did you guys ever do steak and beans or anything like that at any of the dealerships you ever worked at? Divide the sales staff in half, and at the end of the month, whoever sells the most cars, we all go out to dinner, and the winners eat steak and the losers eat beans. Well, it's like, it sounds cute, but fact is, if during the middle of the month, if I'm in that competition, right, and you and I are in opposite teams, and one of your customers comes in, and your team's ahead, or even it doesn't matter, I'm less likely to help your customer because that is going to put you in a position to eat steak, and I'm going to have to eat freaking beans. It's not conducive to a good work environment. So I think in running a dealership nowadays or any business, I think it's important. It's imperative that we put all of our team members in a position to really, truly help each other. Now, I don't know what it would be like. Well, I do know what it would be like. Like you and Anthony must have had some sort of text exchange or something this morning before the show, right?
Yes.
Right. So here's a guy that Anthony's a little controversial. He's an acquired taste. Either you like him or you don't. Basically, I happen to like him, and most people do. But here's a guy that you've met in person once, twice,
Twice.
right?
We
So
went out to breakfast in Miami once.
right. So in you're kind of in competition. I mean, there's 17,000 opportunities, so dealers, so you're not really. But here, guy posts on Facebook that you're going to be on the show, right? To help you, help the show, help AutoMax, and so forth. But here's a guy that he don't care. He's out there being a cheerleader for you, and he'd do it for any trainers. And I think that's so important within our organization and within dealerships, that if for the people in stores to really truly assist each other and really help each other. No bullshit, no fakeness, but to really, if you and I work together on a floor, it would be important that we seriously helped each other be the best versions of ourselves.
Right.
In whatever that would be. Would you, no, Craig, you're full of shit. That's not right. but I mean, that's got to be important, right? And I don't see enough of it.
Imperative.
Yeah. I don't see enough of it. And I don't know why. I don't know. I think we do set this up as a competition. We think salespeople are, everything's a sporting event. It's got to be competitive. Salesman of the month, who sold the most cars, who sold the most gross, made the most gross. It's all competitive. And there's nothing wrong with competition. I'm all about it. However, competition amongst employees, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to me, man. I really don't. I think it develops bad feelings and it could throw things sideways in a hurry, I think.
It depends on how your people handle it. You've got your different personalities.
Right. That's right.
We have plenty of dealers that do the personality index and personality tests and things like that.
Yeah. How do you feel about those?
I like them, but I also don't. You got to be very careful with them. If you're making a hiring decision based on it, that could be very detrimental on many, many levels.
I couldn't agree with you more.
But I use myself as an example when I explain this to new hires and all of that, because I am not an A-type personality. I don't think anyone out there is going to say, "Oh no, John's really aggressive." I'm really not.
Right.
So I'm your quintessential B-type personality. I'm an introvert, which I've been advised is an offensive term. But if I'm calling myself an introvert, I don't think I can.
Yeah. No social justice warriors are going to take it.
Right. But there's a new term called an extroverted introvert, meaning you force yourself to be extroverted.
Gotcha.
And that's what I've done my entire adult life. So, you got to have the energy to go out and meet new people and do all of that. But my natural,
I'm with you.
I want to just, be in a small room by myself.
Right. Read a book.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a fine line and a huge difference between loneliness and solitude.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out which side of the line you're on. That's, an adult move that I'm still learning. But, some people are not going to be a natural salesperson. I am not.
Right. Right.
All of the tests agree. I am not a natural salesperson. But the ones that have the follow-up, the adapted personality and all of that, say, yeah, I'm.
Gotcha.
It's like I read the test beforehand,
Uh-huh.
because that's what I strive to be, and it's not
Right.
something that, there's no perfect sales.
Right.
Right. At no point, no successful salesperson is going to say, "Oh, yep, that was perfect." No one's going to have a 100% closing ratio.
Right.
There's always going to be that one deal. Oh, there was that one guy that had the, this and this. And, oh, I could have done that. Oh, and then there was that one. And, So you're constantly chasing something that's never going to be perfect. And depending on how OCD you want to be, the strive for perfection that can never be obtained. No one's, that's part of the fascinating thing with this industry. And so you have to have that friendly component to the competition so that it stays positive. And that's where hiring the right way or hiring correctly becomes important, because integrity is absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
It's absolutely everything. Because, if there's a $100 bill on the street, who's going to pick it up and say, who lost this?
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, that's the person you want, but how many people are actually going to do that?
Right.
Integrity is doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Not because there's 3 cameras on you.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Because you don't know how many cameras are on you at any given point in time.
Yeah.
So, you start with integrity and you go from there. But, without integrity, competition can get very ugly quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. That's a mouthful. Yeah. During interviewing and who and how we're going to select somebody, who we're going to choose, integrity's got to be right up there, if not number one, because I want to work with people of integrity, as opposed to not, obviously. But in this is such a like you just said, you're not a, however you put it, but you're not a natural born salesman. I'm not sure that I am. Most of my behavior has been learned, and I got to flip a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I'm in a selling situation, it just doesn't flow out naturally to me. I've been doing it so long. Sometimes it might sound like I do, but it's just not. It's not who I was. And I think that scares people out. That probably scares a lot of people off. Like my son Joe, it was like, I'm not a salesman. 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 He sells millions of dollars worth of recruiting campaigns a year, and he's not a salesman. He just talks to people and tells them what we do and asks them to go ahead and do it. And but to this day, I'm not a salesman, and he sells like crazy. But it's so weird. It's like, and I agreed with him. I mean, he had me totally bought in for years that he's never going to be able to do this because he's not a salesman and doesn't want to be, has no interest in it. And somewhere along the line, okay, that's fine. Don't sell. Just talk to people, tell them what we do,
Right.
and ask them if we can help them. And people say yes, and bang, now you're a salesman.
Right.
That's so weird. It's so weird.
I mean, that's, well, I totally get that. I completely understand.
John Tracy, you're calling Steve Rapelia an old man. How dare you? You guys are all too old.
Yeah, didn't you guys have pet dinosaurs that played together?
That's right. Oh my gosh. We gotta get younger trainers. You guys are way too old. You guys need to retire. Well, that's illegal as hell.
That's why they're $10.99.
That's right.
That's why we don't actually work for you.
That's right. There is a method to that madness. I can
it's
tell you that
brilliant.
much. All right, so this comes to the part of the program that we call Fabulous Fibs. Fabulous Fibs, Fabulous Fibs. So you get to get a really awesome awesome gifts. That's a stretch. So there's going to be, I'm going to ask you I'm going to make 3 statements to you. Your job, John, in this contest is to tell me which of the following 3 statements would be true. 1 is true, 2 are false. That's why we call it Fabulous Fibs.
Okay.
John Tracy, leave me alone. I'm trying to do a podcast. Go to work. Go sell somebody something. And Tracy, you got to get in here, get into the studio and do a podcast. All you trainers, all you guys that are listening right now, all of you guys, get up here and do a podcast. We put you up in this luxury hotel, and it's pretty awesome. So I'd like to have all you guys come in and do a podcast. Maybe 2 at a time. That should be insane. Someone can bring liquor and then take an Uber home. Get some of you guys drunk in here. I'm not advocating alcohol or getting drunk. Yeah, I sort of am, I guess. All right, so statement number 1. Cheerophobia, cheerophobia, cheerophobia
Is that a fear of churros?
is a word for irrational fear of being happy. My God, Craig, speak. Cheerophobia,
CHERO phobia?
yes,
Okay.
is a word for irrational fear of being happy. Statement number 1. Statement number 2. You can hear a blue whale call from 2 miles away. You can hear a blue whale call from 2 miles away. You can tell Joe made up these questions, right?
I didn't know he was into blue whales. But, man,
And these are strictly for you because you're unique. Statement number 3. 22 different countries celebrate their independence from England. 22 different countries celebrate their independence from England. So, number 1, cheerophobia is a word for irrational fear of being happy. Number 2, you can hear a blue whale call from 2 miles away. Number 3, 22 different countries celebrate their independence from England. Which of those 3 statements are true?
I'm going to go ahead and start overthinking this.
Attaboy.
Of course, now I want a churro. Those are delicious. That couldn't be a fear of being happy because churros are happiness. Just they are. A blue whale 2 miles away. There's a couple technicalities there because the way that it's written is exactly 2 miles. So, and I believe it's further. I think the blue whale goes further than that. I've heard the humpback whales in Hawaii, and I mean it's kind of cool.
That would be cool.
So I feel like that's going to be a longer distance. And then 22 countries celebrating independence from jolly old.
Correct.
That number also sounds low, but maybe not. So the one true one I have no idea. Because of course there's going to be a technicality knowing Joe.
Always.
It's like, well, it's 2.1 miles, so that makes the statement false.
Nah, he's not that. He wouldn't be that devilish.
Really?
Well, yeah, that's not true. He would be, but not in this case.
I'm going to go with cheerophobia.
You are correct.
Wow.
Cheerophobia is a word for irrational fear of being happy. Isn't that interesting? That's a true statement. Cheerophobia. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just learned something completely useless that's pretty interesting. Is a word for irrational fear of being happy. Irrational fear of being happy. Isn't that weird that there's such a thing? A fear of being happy. That's weird, man.
I mean, I've seen it quite a bit.
Oh, I've experienced it. You can call it, the
Especially in the exotic car world.
yeah. Well, just in life in general, man. It's just sometimes I feel like such a poser. It's like I know my background better than anyone else, and it's like when I look at what's happened in my life, it's like, dude, you really don't deserve this. It's like you really don't. It's like if anybody ever really finds out about you, it's like, what?
And once mind reading's out there, then you're done.
Right. You don't.
Like,
Yeah. That could happen, I think. Would you want to read somebody's mind?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say no
Yeah.
because curiosity.
It'd be interesting. I wonder what was that called? Was it Tom Cruise who was in that movie? What was it? Majority Report?
Minority Report.
Minority Report, right? Where they knew someone was going to...
Pre-crime.
Right, yeah.
The precogs, the precognizant.
Yeah.
You know, they could actually see the future.
Yeah. That's complicated. That probably could happen sometime in the future, but that would get really tricky because you have intent or someone just, it rolls through your mind for a minute, you know? Geez, boy, I'd really like to run that guy over alongside the road. Just the weird shit that we think. Or maybe I'm the only one that thinks stuff like that. But
right.
So
do you
is that
crucify that person for having the thought, or do you commend them for controlling it?
Exactly.
Not running someone over.
Right.
Say, wow, you really hate me. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there could be some established trust there.
Yeah. Right.
A whole new respect.
You can hear a blue whale call from 2 miles away. That's false. You can hear their heartbeat from 2 miles away.
Oh.
That's weird. But it's Joe Lockhart, so I'm taking it's true. 52 different countries celebrate their independence from England. That would be false. 52, and you said that doesn't sound like enough. 52 countries celebrate their independence from Great Britain. Wow, Great Britain owned everything.
Sun never sets.
They owned everything, man. That was an empire. That was a legit empire. All right, so you get, hold on a minute here.
A new car.
You get a new car. We got to, Joe Lockhart, you got to replace these Hot Wheels. We're down to seeds and stems in here, man.
Seeds and stems.
Yeah. It's marijuana. Don't act like you don't know what that is. You're from Colorado.
Yeah, they require a knowledge of...
Oh, my God. Joe, we only have 3 left. This is embarrassing. All right, so I'm giving you all 3 of those.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm also going to give you a bonus question
Nice.
that you absolutely win nothing for now because you've gotten all those.
Right, I've already won.
Right. This is classic. Which country banned puns? Talking to the king of puns here. Which country banned puns in 2014? Which country
A country banned puns.
banned puns?
A play on words.
Yeah, an entire country banned the use of puns in their country.
Huh.
And it's a big-ass country.
Right. I mean, I would just naturally think China.
You would be correct in thinking China.
Like, who's so ridiculous that they would ban puns? Oh, geez, am I half offended now?
That's what Joe said.
I mean,
should we ask John this question? I said, oh, yeah, shit, yes.
half punny
Absolutely,
or half
man.
funny?
Officials claimed that casual alteration of idioms, is that what that is? IDIOMS?
Yeah, idioms.
Yeah. Risks nothing less than cultural and linguistic chaos. Man, that is overthinking for sure.
Wow.
They banned puns in 2014.
I should ask my sister what she thinks of that.
Way to go, China. Trying to compete with China is like really, that's like one arm tied behind your back, man. When the country, like, what's the name of the cell phone company? It starts with a W.
Wei-Chan?
Yeah, is that it?
Keep in mind, my Chinese accent is horrible.
Right. So it's like when you have the whole government backing up a private business, so to speak, private business, man, that's like makes it really hard to compete. So
People probably say that about the U.S.
yeah, probably. Yeah, that's true to a certain. Yeah, I guess it's all relative, isn't it?
It's like, who holds all the debt for the U.S.?
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank one more sponsor here before we start to wind this thing up, and that would be our friend Stephen Warner, the CEO of Automotive HR. Automotive HR. Automotive HR. We're biased for two reasons. A, we use the product. B, we're a reseller, I guess is the specific way to put it, of the platform. We looked at all of them. Hierology, KPA, all the big names, heavy hitters, if you will. I'm here to tell you that the Automotive HR recruiting, it's an HR platform, is unparalleled in what it can do. Career branded website. So let me give you an example. Most dealers' websites have a career tab or employment page or whatever you call it on your site. It's typically under the About Us tab on a dealer's website, and they post a job there. Well, if you're not hooked up with a third-party platform such as Automotive HR or any of its competitors, it's just wasted real estate. Take the thing down. Nobody coming to your website to look for a job. They're looking for cars, specials, discounts, service. They're not coming to your website to look for employment unless that is tied into a third-party platform such as Automotive HR. Automotive HR and the benefits are just, I could go on for a half hour talking about it. And instead of doing that, you guys should probably call in and ask for some more information so we can show you what it really does. But it's a career branded website. They are beautiful. It shows the culture of your store. You can add video and so forth. It's unlimited job postings, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can have the jobs posted. It posts in over 100 different languages. It has its own what's called ATS. It stands for Applicant Tracking System. So it's kind of like a CRM for talent. So you create your own talent network within the platform. It has the ability to have video interviews. It's an amazing tool. Electronic onboarding. Now, again, what we found in our research over the last 22 years, a lot of fallout, turnover happens really early on. When you hire someone and you bring them in, and the first physical thing they do when they come to your dealership for day one, they're starting, is to sit them in a room with a 7-inch thick slab of paper signing off I-9s and this and that and another thing. And that's how they start their job. It just seems wacky to me. You can do all that electronically, get them all signed up, everything at home. So when they come to work that first day, you can start developing that new hire like right from jump. Gives you a lot better opportunity of hopefully retaining that person over a long period of time. Plus, everything, excuse me, that has to do with compliance, all the legal aspects of their employment at your dealership are all in one spot. It eliminates paperwork. It's a zero-brainer. Everything's done electronically. So it's just, man, and it is so cheap. In my opinion, it's stupid cheap. And probably the price probably go up. They're not going to do that. The technology behind this platform is number one. And the onboarding is truly legit, unparalleled. There's other companies that can kind of compete with the job postings and so forth. Nobody can compete with Automotive HR in regard to the onboarding portion of the site. It's outstanding and constantly improving. So go to automotivehr.com, or, as I said, we are a reseller of the product. So just call 800-878-5090. Ask for Joe or Ernie. Mention the Recruiter Podcast. You save a few bucks. Or dealers, you can also reach out to John Yueh or any of the AutoMax Recruiter trainers that travel the country. They're all authorized to resell the product as well. And, they just, if you have an interest, they'll explain it to you. They'll flip it to us, internally, and we can go over it with you. And I would strongly urge you to at least take a look at it. At least take a look at it. It's just unlimited users. It's just, I don't know, on and on and on, man. But it's the number one recruiting platform. Just won an award that there is available in the automobile industry. It's terrific, priced right, cheap monthly fee. It'd blow your mind, the dollar amount. And I don't want to name drop, but a bunch of the big auto disruptors in the country are our clients that use this platform, and it's a number one, man. A number one. How are we doing on time? We're at 12:30. What do you want to do? Where are we at? We got 10, 15 minutes to finish up, or you gonna blow out, or what?
That's 40 minutes to the airport?
Yeah, I think, max. And I think time-wise, you're okay. I don't think you're going to run into any kind of stupid traffic. I wish you could hang longer, man. I take you out to get something to eat. Or I'll just give you the $7 I was going to spend on you, one of the two.
Either way works.
Man, I tell you what, it sucks, man. I feel it's like 2.5 hours, and it's like, man, I want to spend all day with you, dude. I don't see enough of you. It was, let's see, before last November, we had dinner. We had a bite to eat out in Denver at Innovative Dealer Summit when we were out there that one time.
Yep.
That was cool. This coming year, I was going to do something for a get together the week of July 4th, but July 4th, I think this year, because this is a leap year, is on a Friday, which is kind of cool business-wise because we don't have any weeks broken up where we can't work. Yeah, July 4th is actually a Saturday this year, which is pretty awesome. So we can, because last year was Wednesday, I think, or Thursday or whatever it was, and it screws up a week. But next November, I'm saying here publicly right now so you guys can all hold me accountable to this, we will have an AutoMax conference next November. That was a lot of fun, the last one we had, I think. I had a good time. Cost a crap load of money, but
It was a nice hotel.
yeah, it was. And they just remodeled the whole thing. So now it's full remodel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so. Did you like that place, that spot? I thought it was okay, right?
I've stayed there twice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, well, they redid, all the guest rooms are redone now. That place has quite a history. That was President Eisenhower's personal country club back in the day. So the Secret Service was all there and all that stuff back a million years ago. But that was his course. That's where he played and belonged to. But it's been there forever. But it's a nice looking piece of property. And we had a couple glitches last time we were there, but I had to go a little old school on them. But kind of threw the dead at midnight principle out the window for about 10 minutes one day. It was like, okay, Craig, rule 10. All right, don't smack anybody. Don't scream at anybody here. That's not cool.
Don't make them cry like they're in an interview.
Right, exactly right. Oh, God. So we have, when the recruiter trainers are out in the field doing an assignment, when they're holding a recruiting and training class, they send in data daily to the office. Includes a lot of things, where the applicants came from, the number of applicants scheduled, interviewed, invited back for the training, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of information we get back from the trainers in terms of data. And part of our interviews are pretty interesting. It's unique. It's different than the way most car dealerships interview potential automobile salesmen. And some of the questions can initiate different emotional responses from the applicants. And there's a couple, I won't go into what they are, but a couple of them can tend to be pretty emotional, or a trigger emotional response. Like, I will. What's one thing? Typically, I think this is where it happens, John. Correct me if I'm incorrect, if I'm wrong, but you can go back in time, you can change one thing about your life. What would it be, right? And that question by itself, a lot of times triggers some typically life-altering event in the applicant's life. Typically, loss of a parent, sibling, right? Mm-hmm. And so John John has a unique sense of humor, for sure, and he'll put on his tally sheet no criers today, or one crier, or or what have you. But it's true. It's like, I mean, it does. It makes it. But the way we ask our questions, the way that we do interview, you really can tell a lot about a person during our interview.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, so what did you like about your last job? What didn't you like?
Right.
What about this situation or that situation? I was like, and not that those are horrible interviews, but ours is unique. And when you're done with that interview, you get a pretty good idea of who that man or woman is. You have a good direction anyway.
Yes.
I think, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But every week, at least one.
I know, isn't that weird? I mean, it really is.
It really is. And it's half men, half women.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's because a lot of people are like, oh, women shouldn't. No, it's half men. In fact, there was one year where it was a little bit more than half.
Yeah.
Because I started tracking it. I think my second year, third year. I was like,
Track the criers.
I'm just curious, you know. So it's, but you know, it gives me an idea as to how passionate they are, right? If they show back up, because you know, I tend to invite them, because oh yeah, you're crying, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Get lost.
Yeah. See ya.
You know,
nice
invite
life.
them back, and they usually just won't show up. But if they do, this could be something that they're passionate about.
Yes.
And that passion could supersede complacency. It could supersede all sorts of things if this is an industry that's going to be a passion of theirs.
Yes.
Because, you know, I'd want the person that wants to be there rather than the person that can probably do the job a little bit better right now.
Amen to that. I hope you guys heard what he just said out there. Give me passion.
Right.
You give me we can take a passionate person and we can teach them the mechanics to driving the sale. I mean, you just can't.
Right.
You take somebody that's just, you know, you can't fix lazy or stupid, and you can't. I don't think you can teach passion, man. It's either you're a passionate person or you are not. And
Yeah.
Give me a room full of those people, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's how you end up winning, and how you really end up optimizing your opportunities at the dealership. Well, okay, again, ladies and gentlemen, John Yueh, Yueh. Look John up. Connect with John. Dealers, reach out to John, either specifically via social or call the office or contact AutoMax. And if you need some recruiting help into your store, make sure you ask Ernie or Joe or whomever to have John out to your dealership in 2020. And this is going to sound a little pitchy, but act now. These trainers get booked up pretty quick. So if you want to do something, and I don't know what your book looks like for January, but folks, just please understand what I'm saying here. If you want to get John Yueh out to your dealership, you got to act now and go ahead and schedule it, or he will not be available. It's just a fact. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
The 5 years that you've been with us thus far, or coming up on 5 years in February, right? Yeah, February.
Yep.
Have been awesome. Your growth, my respect for you, our respect for you is immense, and just
Thank you.
love having you on the team, man. It's like, it's just, you're an awesome person, and you do such a great job, and you do it. You come from the right place for it too, which is, obviously important to us, super important to me, that we do things the right way, because there are a lot of different ways to do what we do, and I like to think we do it right most of the time. Anything you want to wrap up with here?
Wow,
young
no.
man?
Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming out. I know I really appreciate it. It's very cool. All right, you animals. You filthy animals. Appreciate you all watching. Tell somebody about the podcast. Be very, very cool. Go out and sell a bunch of cars. Positively affect someone's life today. And I'm not sure when our next show is going to be yet. So it might be, well, I don't know. You'll watch us online. You'll figure it out. And if not, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to y'all, or however you celebrate this thing. We love you, and have a great day. Peace. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
That was cool. Huh? Time flies, don't it?
Oh, it's